Welcome to the Film Fans Podcast.
Are you putting on a voice?
No, this is just my radio voice.
No, just talk
Okay,
normal.
alright, okay, fine.
Hold on. Go.
Welcome to Welcome to the Film Fans Podcast. Here are your hosts, Joy McKeown and Cormac Smith. And today we're going to be talking about Wonder Woman.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I knew you were going to do that anyway.
I had to, yeah.
Okay, so, so this film is directed by Patty Jenkins, and it's starring Gal Gadot and Chris Pine. And so Wonder Woman's obviously a very important film, as of late, because it's the first film in something like 10 years.
No.
First superhero film in 10 years to be...
Oh, I think it's more than 10 years.
Easily could be, 15 maybe or so.
Because
Anyway,
what was it? Electra...
is Electra and Catwoman are the only ones I can think of.
I think Catwoman came out in 2004.
Could have been something like that.
It's been a very long time.
Yeah, so the first female-led superhero film in a long time, but also the first one really since the big superhero boom in cinema after Iron Man and the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And most importantly, and probably get a lot of bad comments about this, in my opinion, it's the first good DCEU film.
Oh, no, I agree with that. As soon as something came up with colour, I was like, oh... Color, blues, reds, yellow. It was good.
It was. It had a lot going for it.
Yeah, but we'll start with the plot. The plot is basically Wonder Woman. She's on the island. I'm not going to pronounce this because Cormac's better pronouncing it.
I can't even remember what it. Themyscira or something like that. Themyscira.
That sounds like a really good tongue twister. And basically. Chris Pine's character Steve crashes towards the island and begins her adventure of going to the outside world, trying to defeat Ares, the god of war, and finding out stuff on the way. That's the bare bones plot without giving away any spoilers. I thought overall it was a good plot. It was basic, straightforward. There's not many things getting in the way.
Yeah. I'd agree with you there. Definitely, it's one major thing it had going for it is how contained the plot was. Especially putting it up against the last two films in the DCEU, which were Suicide Squad and Batman v Superman, where both those films seem to both be carrying on from a different one and setting up another one. Whereas Wonder Woman, other than the very opening and the very closing scene, it was literally just Wonder Woman. There was no Superman, there was no Batman, there was no anything else other than what Wonder Woman was facing.
Like Batman versus Superman, it was being Batman versus Superman, being the death of Superman, and setting up Justice League. So you could cut all those bits out, but Wonder Woman knew exactly what it was. Like the intro and the outro, I kind of agree it has to be there. Could just kind of set it up to compare to when she started and to where she is now. So I'm happy it kind of stuck with the one plot. Thank God.
The only issue I do really have with the plot is, and I'm not going to go into it too much because it's going into spoiler territory here, but I think you'll agree with me on this one, Joy. The ending is just awful.
I wouldn't say awful. I would say it wasn't what I was expecting, though I've had, from thinking about it over a while, because we saw this at a midnight screening when it first came out, that she was kind of hypocritical. If you think about, she goes through mowing down all these people, and then, but at the same time, overall I enjoyed it, but I only nitpick about that. I wouldn't think it was a strong ending, but it still made an impact.
It did have an impact, but I think it kind of with what they went with in the end and the options that they had, it kind of went against a lot of the themes they had set up in the rest of the plot. But I still came out of it very much enjoying it.
Oh, I enjoyed it completely. When we went to this midnight screening, the thing stopped 2-3 times.
Something like that.
And when I first saw that the running time was 2.5 hours, I was like, oh my God, this is far too long. But I didn't notice time flew by.
No, me neither.
The story just kept going. And that's also to do with amazing characters. I left this film remembering the 3 characters. Now, I'm a stickler for names, but I do remember there was a guy who had post-traumatic stress. There was the Indian, the Native American guy, and then there was the was he French or is he French Indian? Yeah.
So I think that was actually very how powerful scene where he's talking with Wonder Woman, and this is something that Wonder Woman does quite excellently. It takes a lot of these different themes, and so basically there's this one bit where he's talking about how this French guy, he wants to become an actor, but because of his color and the time period that he's in, he can't. So the only thing that he can do is be a spy for during the war.
Yeah, no, I remember that, and it's something like that. Him and Wonder Woman kind of bond over. It's little scene character development. I remember, again, I know we can't remember the names of them, but like I've left, like, let's say Captain America or Batman vs Superman, going, wait, what were the generals and the side characters' names? I remember Bucky, but that's because it's Bucky. But I remember the guy with the post-traumatic stress, he was going to leave the group, and she said, oh, who will play for us? Who will play piano for us? And I remember just that being so sweet, and like that formed a friendship. So like I actually cared about these characters. When near the end I was like, don't die if they so I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the side characters. Chris Pine's character I liked because it wasn't that typical, you can't do this, you're a woman. Like, as soon as he cops on that she is well capable, he's just like, fine, let's do this, which was great because you did not need a scene where it's like, you can't do this, you're a woman, which I was worried that they were going to fall into those little traps, but I don't think they did.
Well, I think they kind of handled that quite well, because at the very start, as soon as he winds up on Themyscira, or however you pronounce it, and then the rest of the German army comes in, and there's this one bit where Chris Pine's like, no, stay behind me, and he goes to start shooting people. Then the rest of the Amazons come in and start kicking ass all over the place.
Yeah.
And one of them just like flips over Stone and takes out, like, I don't know.
3 at once with shot wasn't that, like, that scene. Like, I know there was issue in Texas with the all female screening, but then I can understand why guys would maybe not like it, because as soon as I left that screening, I wanted to kick someone's ass. I wanted to see someone do some injustice and beat the crap out of them. But that scene was brilliant, and the Amazons themselves, like well done. Like they got proper like athletes in, and they were like amazing. That made me just want to go to the gym straight away.
That was another thing I found out recently enough. You know, not her mother, her aunt.
Yes,
I
her
can't
aunt.
remember what that is, the princess from The Princess Bride.
I saw that recently as well. Like that, like I love that an age where Princess Leia and her like went from princesses to generals, and it's just like, yay, we're all growing up now. But no, they were fantastic. The Amazons, like, it was brilliant. They're so they got shit done. I felt like everything, if there was an issue, they got it solved straight away nearly. But no, they were fantastic. Now the bad characters, like, I didn't see that coming with Ares.
Yeah.
I didn't see, now maybe because I wasn't looking, like, but now I'll be happy when I go back to see it again. I can look at those scenes because they can mean differently.
I did go back and watch it a second time.
Yeah.
And because once we left the film at that midnight screening, we both said to each other, can't wait to go back and see it a second time to see if, and we're not going to spoil it obviously, if this plot twist that we know is coming, are there hints towards that?
Yeah, this twist is where you can look back on other scenes and see from a different view, which is fantastic. Yeah. Now, Dr. Poison, what happened to her? She was just in one scene, and then she's gone, and I was kind of annoyed because I expected at least the two of them to meet and like say something, but that. Yeah,
I read somewhere though that, and this is just a fan theory, but Dr. Poison ends up being like the beginning of what eventually leads to Bane.
Okay.
Yeah, I know it's kind of out there.
That's interesting, but again, that it's not in the film. Like in the film, like I was really hoping that she would meet the characters, and she doesn't. Like if Wonder Woman and Dr. Poison met, and there was a moment or there was a conversation, like in the party scene when Chris Pine's character, Wonder Woman, and Dr. Poison are there, but they don't chat to each other, which I find really disappointing. I'd love to see a female villain and a female hero just have a conversation, like the iconic scene in Batman vs Superman where Batman and Superman get to meet, though I didn't think they executed well. I would have still liked to have seen that, and then Dr. Poison kind of just disappears in the film.
Yeah, and I really liked, I thought Dr. Poison was a good
I liked
character.
her. I thought she was great crack, but they just
Yeah.
Cause she kind of
Like,
did she
hopefully,
die at the end? I don't remember.
I don't know. I don't know if they showed that because I don't remember seeing it. I don't remember.
I remember her being like put in the middle of a fight, just because we can't go into spoilers there. But then there's no shot of her showing that she's running away or that she's dead, and you're just like, well, that's not an open ending. That's just you didn't show us where she is.
That could be though the classical kind of
Oops, I forgot to shoot that scene.
Not even that, but in a lot of the superhero films are like, we don't know if we're going to bring this character back or not, so let's just leave it ambiguous. You know, whether they'll...
Oh no, I would find that lazy because.
Like, oh no, it is lazy. It definitely is, but lazy. It could be.
Like you could show her running away, but you don't have to bring her back technically. Yeah.
The other guy though, I didn't really think much of him. I can't remember what his name is.
The German guy, basically, he gets drugs and he sniffs them and he looks like a cokehead, and he was, I don't know, like, I never felt threatened by him.
No.
So Actor Poison I felt a bit threatened because she had the skills. He just seemed like another general, and no, it never found him threatening. Though what I liked with Ares, they had this Ares build up, and I thought they were going to do the liar revealed, and they do a little bit, but they cover it well, but they didn't go into the "you've lied to me" and they go off and have a sad scene. Thank God they didn't do that, because that has just been done too many times.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about all the other characters in this film, but Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman.
Oh my God, like, she was amazing. Like, her, like, any of the scenes with her and Chris Pine's character Steve was just hilarious. Like, the scene in, let's say, the bath scenes. I won't spoil that because I think that's just amazing. And then the boat scene where they just have a conversation about totally two points of view, and it was just so nice because it was not plot, it was not expedition, it was just like, let's have a conversation and develop characters. And now the trying on like clothes you've seen in the trailers, where she's trying on different dresses, I thought, oh God, this is going to be awkward, and I've seen it before, but I just find it very funny. She just asks blunt questions. It's like, why is this like this?
And that's, I really, really like that about Wonder Woman in this film. And like, we didn't get to see a lot of her in Batman versus Superman, but she's such a very well defined character in and of herself. She's not, and like, a lot of it comes down to the male gaze in other films. She's not defined by the male characters around her.
No, like, she knows like, you can see what I liked about it. She was a bit naive, but that's just her learning stuff, and you can see her learn. Like in the intro and the outro scenes where it is in present day, you can see her completely different because she's walking differently with more confidence. But with this, she knows who, like, at the start, she knows who she is and her goal, and she doesn't understand why we can't just go and stop this war. So there is a vulnerability, and you know, Steve's character doesn't take advantage of it. He's trying to explain it to him, but then he's being honest and he knows she can handle herself. But his secretary character, every time she was on screen, I loved her.
Oh,
she was so well written. She was so funny. Her lines were just brilliant. She's so helpful as well. Like, she was just getting stuff done for Steve, and great interaction with her and Wonder Woman. Like, absolutely love her. But the main thing I loved about this, because it's the first female superhero film in a while, and she was wearing a short skirt, even though like that armor was amazing, just how they framed her and everything. So every shot was not like, ooh, look at this thigh and how sexy it is. It was just like, look at this and how it can break everything. Like, not one shot that I feel like, oh, it's lingering on her too long, or it's just showing, like, even when someone flips and their underwear's in the shot, you're not like, oh my goodness, underwear, scandalous. You're going, dang, look at that shot and how she's kicking someone's ass. Like, that was so nice to see from a girl's point of view, and hopefully from a boy's point of view, they can see, coming out of this, they'll see a strong woman, and then people will notice more when they go into films that they see. Like, if you compare to Baywatch that's coming out now, like, I know both the male characters and the female characters sexualized, but it's even, you notice it much more completely. So it was just,
yeah, and like that kind of leads me into my favorite scene in the film, which is the first time you see Wonder Woman properly in her armor.
The No Man's Land scene.
Yeah, which you've seen a bit of it in the trailers, and it's funny enough you brought up Baywatch there, Joy, because realistically, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman is showing the same amount of skin as Alexandra Daddario is in Baywatch.
Yeah.
But as you said, you don't think of it as a sexualized version of the character. You're looking at this incredibly powerful, strong, legitimately wonderful Wonder Woman who's just completely kicking ass. And like, in that scene, and it's not exactly spoilers, basically what she sees is She sees that there's this village across the way in no man's land where people are technically being turned into slaves, food is being kept from them, all this stuff, and she's looking around and she sees these people with guns on their side and guns on the other side, and she's like, what's happening here? Why aren't we moving over and helping them? And they say, oh, it's no man's land, we can't do anything. And she's like, screw that. She just jumps over it, starts kicking ass, everyone else follows. And that's, so you see the armor, you see the shield and the sword and everything, and it's awesome, it's badass. There's literally nothing sexual about it at all, and
No.
they took the male gaze away from it
They
completely.
took it away, like the way she's framed. Even I remember one shot, and she's standing on a roof, and Steve is looking up at her, and they do, they tilt up the shot, and you can see right up her skirt. And I noticed this because I don't know, I knew going into it, I was like, oh, okay, what's this going to be like with the outfit? And it didn't linger. It just said, here's the shot, so you know where she is. And the way every shot is framed, even if you do see the side of her, like it's not lingering, or it's not done with music where it's like, oh, this is seductive. This is the whole thing. Even when she came in a party scene in the dress, she had a sword on her back, and I was just like, okay, that is now where I'm going to keep my swords in the future. But everything about that was brilliant. And also, as we said at the start, in the first while, it's the first DC film in a while where there was a range of colors.
Yeah.
It's like the director Patty just went, add more color to it. Like some shots were beautiful of the sky, of the sunset coming up, the reds, blues, yellows, and the island. Oh my goodness, like it was gorgeous. And there was such a fresh change from like Batman vs Superman, where everything was very dark, and you're like, okay, we get it, but come on, you need to give us a bit more color. And when the scenes were dark, you noticed, and it was such a good contrast.
Yeah, I was in the part where they go to no man's land and everything, and like things get greyed down a little. It doesn't seem as out of place as it does in the likes of Suicide Squad and Batman v Superman, because obviously I don't know how it was, but most on-screen depictions of World War One, World War Two, there is this kind of grayscale thing, and it really heightens the intensity of what was going on. And there's also a bit in it because they took another theme of war and just how terrible it can be in the scene where Wonder Woman, Steve, and the other guys are going
and they
in.
see the casualties.
Yeah, there's like, as they're going in it's France, isn't it?
Yeah.
To occupied France. You can see the injured soldiers on the way back, and it's not a throwaway thing, because this is one time where they do linger on these characters.
They show the results of war, where you never, obviously that was always the joke with Superman, is like he destroyed a lot of cities and you never see anyone die, and then they obviously they fix that quotation marks in Batman vs Superman. But I think in Wonder Woman you saw the effects of war, and with the color scheme of the film, you went from bright areas. When you went to war, it did darken, and that I think made more effect compared to Suicide Squad, where it was like darkness, and you weren't invested enough. You didn't understand like how war is effective. So
like, I think definitely Snyder in a lot of ways has this issue when it comes to the darkening the different scenes. If you look back to the Christopher Nolan trilogy of the Batman films, when it was Batman and it was nighttime and it was dark, and that was perfect and whatever, but when it was daytime, he made very effective use of colors in a lot of different scenes.
Yeah.
So like, you know, if you are dealing with dark characters, that's fine. You can use darkness to your advantage, but don't, just completely forget about it.
I also think like the fact that now that I think about it, Wonder Woman wanted to be a superhero. Well, not like, a superhero, but she wanted to help, and she had these abilities, so she was going to go out and do something. But with Batman and Superman, it always seemed to be like, I don't want to be this superhero, or I don't know what I want to be. So Wonder Woman was like, yeah, bad things are going on, and I'm going to help the best that I can. And I like that, and I think that worked with the colors, because instead of it like with flashbacks with Superman, Batman, at least with Wonder Woman, they told it in order. They went, here's small Wonder Woman, here's teenage Wonder Woman, and here's now older Woman, and there we have it. But with I think that just works, like, because she was going back to character, she was just such a good character, because she really wanted to do something, and she killed people in it. Like, fight scenes, she killed people. It wasn't none of this like, if you kill, you'll become the criminal. That's Batman's,
it was Batman.
We'll get into that. But that, at least Wonder Woman's just like, these are bad people, but then at the same no, that's with the ending as well. Like,
Yeah.
so that go watch the film, you can understand. But I don't know. I think just with this the cinematography and the fact that this character wanted to do this stuff just blended so well together and made this an enjoyable. I'm gonna rewatch it film instead of Batman vs Superman, where it's just like, why are you doing this? Well, why are you doing? It just seemed like a bro match, and I've seen so many bro matches in my life. Give me something new. But I will say, with the effects now, going into the effects, some of the fight scenes, though I've kind of changed my mind over the time, I found the effects weren't as good. I could kind of tell when it was effects and when it was stunts. But then at the same time, it felt like a comic book film.
Yeah, okay, I guess I can sort of get behind that. But I didn't like a lot of the effects when I first saw it.
Okay.
I hated them when I saw it the second time. Because some of the CGI just seems very, very out of place.
Okay.
And very noticeable. And for a film that had a budget as big as it did,
Yeah.
it should have been better.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it should have been better, but I think I'd be more forgiving of it over the time because I was just so into it. Now, we noticed it because I've studied film, I've worked with special effects. And then obviously our eyes nowadays are constrained from, special effects to non-special effects. But I'd be a bit more forgiving about it because I think it's a comic book film, superhero film. I'm a bit more forgiving. Though there is some scenes where I went, "Did you render that right?"
Yeah, that's
sure?
like if you had that attitude, you should go back and watch the original Hulk film.
Oh no,
directed by Ang Lee.
I've
Because they really tried to make that into a comic book film. That just
no, that was a mess. That was just
That's-
they just took ingredients. They didn't put it in the right order. They didn't sit down and think, why is this such a good film or why it's not. Oh no, so no. But Wonder Woman, it's just I don't know. It needed that bit more, but at the same time, like the island. I believe that was an island. Like that was a beautiful, beautiful made island. It was just some of the action scenes where it was just I didn't believe it.
Yeah, maybe I should specify because some of the CGI and the effects in it are quite nice.
Yeah,
it's the fight scenes where you can very easily see when it's actors doing their stunts or the stunt doubles, whatever, and when it's a CGI rendered character.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Like, I didn't notice that until I finished the film because I was just so invested in the scene, so I was a bit forgiving. But now that I look back at it, but again, I think I'm a bit more forgiving than you are.
Yeah, probably.
Though getting into that scene because obviously No Man's Land is one of the start of the scenes to the fights. The soundtrack, you've all heard it in Batman vs Superman. The amazing metal guitar. It's just amazing. So Wonder Woman's theme song is just pure, I would say Metallica nearly, because I know in the comic books she loves metal.
Oh, does she?
Yeah, she absolutely loves it. And that's like, if someone said what's Batman's theme tune, what's Superman's theme tune, not now the classic ones, but I mean from the recent films, I'd be like, yeah, obviously, but I can't remember. But if someone said Wonder Woman, I would immediately go like it's so entertaining and it hypes you up so much. And that's when the CGI came in. That's why I was more forgiving because I was so wrapped into the scene and my heart was pumping. I was enjoying it so much. Like Mad Max, the recent one.
Yeah, Fury Road.
Yeah. And obviously now the CGI and the practical effects in that were fantastic. But the music just, it is a simple chase scene film, but the music just brought you right into that. So soundtrack was brilliant. Like even in the sad bits and even the nice bits. And then obviously Sia did a song, To Be Human, which is quite nice. I do enjoy it. But just Wonder Woman's theme song, if they played that through the whole thing, I would not complain. Even if it's a sad scene and someone in the background's just going da 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 da, I would not mind that at all. Now, obviously one of the big things with Wonder Woman is, of course, it's the first female superhero film in a long while. Like from the last time we've had 8 Batman films, we've had eight Batman films. We've had with Marvel, we've had our 3 Iron Mans.
So 3 Iron Man, 3 Captain America. We're moving on to the 3rd Thor, and in a couple days we will get our 6th Spider-Man film.
6? Oh my god! So obviously people are like, well, they are popular characters, but if I'm coming from the point of view of I want to make money for the company, Wonder Woman, like right now society is quite changing and more accepted. I'm wanting more films that are more diverse. So like Hidden Figures, Get Out, like they have been soaring. They're diverser casts. So like I would love to see like a Miss Marvel but I think that's
But
might
Captain
be
Marvel's it's in
TV
pre-production
for film.
for film. Yeah, they've cast what's it, Brie Larson as
What?
Captain. Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh! Yay!
Oh,
Okay,
it's gonna be fantastic.
But that's it. Like when people say, "Oh, this is a big feminist film," it's like, well, I want to move on from, "Oh my god, this film has a female lead and it's a feminist film." I was like, well, kind of just like we get films every year. Like we've gotten so many Batman films and like Spider-Man films, but no one says this is a male because it's so.
Well, that's
just default.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'd like advertising, like obviously Wonder Woman, you can say feminist and all that, and there's no problem. But I just want to get to a stage where, because I think that puts some people off it, and it's annoying, and that's annoying because you could agree with it or not. But I'd like to be in a day when it came out of a film, when a film will come out, and it's not like it's a female lead and she's strong and independent. I just want film to come up like Salt. No, not Salt. No, Salt. It came out a really long time ago. I forget the actress's name, but she was a spy. But the advertisement was just, this is a spy film.
Yeah.
Very good film. I enjoyed it completely. But it wasn't like it's a female lead. Or with Lucy with Scarlett
Johansson, yeah.
So, like when Hunger Games came out, like I don't remember it being female lead. Obviously, I remember the advertisement was, this is the book you've read. This is a great book. But I'd like to see films just, advertised as this is a good story.
I think that's one of the things that Wonder Woman did quite well in comparison. And I'm going to mention two of the worst films ever made now, Elektra and Catwoman.
Oh my god, yes.
Whereas, like...
But that was sex appeal.
It was mostly sex appeal. Like, if any of you have seen... I've seen bits of Catwoman and bits of Elektra. I've never been able to sit down and watch.
Cats in it and they breathe on her. And then there's catnip. And the only thing that came good from that Catwoman film was Halle Berry's Raspberry Awards speech. That was the only thing that came from that film. But that film was just like... It was just weird.
Yeah. And the thing I liked about Wonder Woman is that it was really not in your face.
No, it wasn't. It was just,
it was
here's
a film,
a strong lady, and here's a guy from the time zone where women weren't like this, and they got past that very quickly, and that was like, grand, let's move forward. Like, that's what, to compare to Mad Max Fury Road. It wasn't like, you're a woman who can shoot a gun. It's like, you can shoot a gun, here's a gun, let's get away from these characters. And I want to see more female characters, like, even if it's not a superhero film, even if it's any film, comedy, action, or horror. Like if you look at like statistics where women only make up like under 25% of speaking roles, and then for, let's say, for women, obviously they don't get to see themselves in roles, and then for boys they don't get to see themselves and women in those roles. So how can we help, like, how can, like, if a boy doesn't see a woman as a superhero, then if a girl wants to be a superhero, they will immediately go no.
So I think, and it's horrible that this is what it has come down to in the past, and a lot of it is essentially toy sales.
Toy sales, yeah.
And there was a big debacle before with when Age of Ultron was being released, and there wasn't any Black Widow action figures.
That's still that's still a thing.
Yeah, and this is the big problem, because action figures, boys play with action figures. Yeah. Like, I've got two nieces, they love action figures.
That's also what a society thing. Like, so when I buy any kids I know presents, I buy books mainly with with female characters, and maybe a female character of a different race. Yeah. Just because that's not the typical, like, that they're going to find a book with a male lead, and that's not me saying, oh, you're pushing these male leads out of the way. It's like, no, there's always going to be there, and they don't have a pedestal. They're default. Like, so to try and just push these other characters in front of them, I think is a good idea. But then even, like, did you hear about Iron Man, the third Iron Man, they
changed the main villain into, like, so the original plan by Shane Black was to have the main villain as a woman, and essentially the head of the studio came back to, and this is before Kevin Feige took over completely. The head of the studio came back to him and said, no, we're not going to sell any toys if it's a female villain, so change it into a man.
So this is where audience can demand stuff. So obviously let's say just the Transformers film, the recent Transformers coming out, they have like this ad where it's a girl saying, "I'm gonna fight like a girl," and I went, "No, you're Transformers. Stop trying to be what you're not." So I won't see Michael Bay's film because Michael Bay has said, doesn't matter what I make, they're gonna see it. So I'm gonna be like, no, I'm not gonna see it because you don't really show enough to the Transformers. You spend too long on the human characters, and you have those shots of, like, say, Megan Fox leaning over. It's like, we get it, she's hot, like. But that's not why we came to see this film. We came to see robots, and then even when you do it, it's too shaky to see it. So this is where you make your choice to see what you want to see in film. So if something bad, like apparently the Mummy didn't do well, and apparently it's opposite of Wonder Woman because it's a female mummy trying to find a man, and she's trying to kill the other female character. Is that? That's what I've heard
that. That's the other thing that kind of bothered. I haven't seen the Mummy yet, but like, I think it's hilarious that they clearly put the effort in to change the gender of the actual mummy itself, and yet like what you see in all the posters and all the billboards and everything, it's Tom Cruise the Mummy.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that you can see your eyes and everything in the background, but the main focus is Tom Cruise. No, I can understand that with
marketing, because you're like, Tom Cruise is in this, come see this. But that's why I don't like. It's like, oh, like when people say, oh, you're just going to change this character into a woman just because you want more women. It's like, no, I write the script for a woman. Like, I've written a script recently and my characters are female in it, but I, not just to make them like have a default female just because I want this character from a female's point of view, but you just need to put more time and effort. And script of Wonder Woman was time and effort into it. This wasn't like if you replaced it with men, it would still work. But then I think we've seen scripts like that.
Yeah, well, that's kind of just Thor and Captain America just squashed into one movie.
I think Captain America is the closest one I would recommend. That's similar to Wonder Woman, but I don't know. I think this is when audience need to say, no, I'm not going to see this film because I've seen it before.
Yeah, and like that's the other thing about Wonder Woman. It's very original.
It is because
it's not like rehash again.
It's not another Batman film
or a Superman film or a Superman and Batman film. Like
exactly. And then like with Marvel, let's say I enjoy Marvel films. I really do, but like. I'm getting bored now. I am getting no.
I can understand
that's because they had character development, but like we've seen 3 Iron Man, and I'm like, I want a Black Widow film. I want a Hawkeye film. I want to know what happened in Budapest.
I want a Budapest film.
I want a Budapest film. Yeah. But like, and if people say, "Oh, you're just making it because she's one," it's like, well, no, everyone else has got my film and their backstory, and you can relate to these characters. Like even when Age of Ultron, they made like a love story between Bruce and Natasha, and you're like, wait, what? And then she needed to be rescued. I'm like, no, she's Black Widow. Like,
did she need to be rescued?
Yeah, like remember Bruce Banner like opened the cage for her when she was like locked up.
Well, that show you. I remembered that as the other way around. I thought it was Bruce Banner that was locked up, and Black Widow came and.
No, well, like they were trying to like calm Bruce down.
Yeah.
But no, I remember that. I remember why is Widow just sitting there? She's a widow, like. But sure, look, we'll see what happens. Like with the success of like Supergirl and Jessica Jones, like hopefully.
And then I think I've heard Joss Whedon is doing a Batgirl film now for DCEU.
Yes,
which would be quite good.
That would be like because we had Killing Joke, the animated film, and they tried to add Batgirl into it, and it just did not work. And that is an example of trying to shove a female character in and not making it work. Yeah. And that is what I just can't stand that. Like either put some time and effort into it, or leave her out. I don't mind if you leave her out, but try and do better.
I want to touch briefly on something that you mentioned before earlier in this podcast, Joey. The all-female screening that was done.
Yeah.
For Wonder Woman.
I would love to see that. Just be like, just because I've never been in a screening where all females before.
Yeah.
I'd love to
see. The thing is, I just don't get why did people just blow up about this.
That's like, like everyone's like, this is, if men did it, I'm like, yeah, but you've gotten 8 Batman films. Like now, obviously, I love Batman and we can relate to Batman, but like, this is the first, like, that's such a good marketing idea. If I was someone in charge of marketing, I'm like, yeah, because then you could price up the tickets and like, you can have 2 screenings on the same time. You sell many tickets. Like, it's such a genius marketing idea.
The other thing that I would say for that, and this is a quite interesting one, with Black Panther coming out now in the next while.
Yeah.
Would the same reaction be brought if there was an entirely black screening for Black Panther?
I think they should do it.
I think they should. I don't think there'd be as big a blow up.
Oh, I don't know. Would white nationalists lose their shit?
Yeah, but I think there's a lot more.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Like, I wouldn't say one like women have worse than black people. I think it's different, but at the same time,
It's different, but I think there's that stigma.
I think. I don't know. Like I can't wait for Black Panther.
It looks
amazing.
great. It looks
and I would
class,
send every kid I know, because, like, apart from Luke Cage and Blade.
So there was also Spawn.
No. Spawn we're not counting.
Okay.
That was a piece of shit. That is a disgrace.
But again, like, it's very similar to Wonder Woman. It's the first black-led.
Yeah, and that's another thing. But it looks amazing. Like, I don't know enough about Black Panther. I'm researching it because I want to know more. Like, all those characters, I'm like, who's this? Give me more of this. And the colour in it. Oh my god, the amount of colour in it looks fantastic. The costumes, the music, it got me well into it. I was pumped at the end of it. But if they do a black screen, go for it.
Yeah.
That would be like marketing, and then just give, like, with everything going on, especially in America, like, I think there's definitely needs something pro-black.
Oh god, yeah, absolutely.
But we'll see what happens anyway with Black Panther. I can't wait for it anyway.
Oh, it looks great. It's a good time to be for superhero films. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of Zack Snyder anymore. I thought Watchmen was pretty good. Didn't like Man of Steel. Hated Batman v Superman. But he seems to be sort of getting back into the groove now a little bit.
We'll see what happens.
With the trailer for Justice League, and well, I don't know, Joss Whedon's taken over since then, but it should be good. And then we got all the Marvel films that are coming out.
Yeah,
which look
we're
great.
gonna have a busy schedule.
Actually, they recently I think there were pre-screenings of Spider-Man: Homecoming.
I heard about that. I haven't seen the reactions. I haven't read up on the. Oh,
they're
very
positive,
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that new Spider-Man film looks.
It looks great.
It looks interesting, especially. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Well, we'll probably be talking about that soon enough.
Definitely. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's it. As a whole, I would recommend going to see Wonder Woman. Don't get too bummed out if you're as annoyed as I am with the ending, because the rest of the film really makes up for it. Just on its own as a whole, it's fantastic.
It's amazing. Okay, everyone. We will see you next week. We release the podcast every 2 weeks. You can find us on Facebook and on Instagram.
All right, signing out.